And we're back. Ha-ha!
Only 1 week between.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors, and everybody in between.
Yes, it is 8:30 in Vienna, which means it's time for It Should Be About Something.
That's right.
Today is the 9th of June 2022.
It is indeed, and this is episode 68. Crazy.
Yes. Fun fact, tonight we're coming to you live from the Ed Sullivan Theatre in New York.
That's right. We rented it out because we were going to have finally a live audience.
We do have a live audience, but due to very, very strict COVID regulations, there's only one person actually sitting in the audience.
Shout out to our live audience member.
Yeah. You can hear that it's actually just one audience member. And I'm going to say if anybody on the chat guesses who the audience member is, they get a free package of stickers.
I love it. Our audience member also will get some stickers tonight.
We'll see about that. I'll be the judge of that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So it should be about something. As Michael said, we come to you every week. Right now we're going to talk to each other about how our last week went, and if you can, hop on the chat. It's the nicest chat this side of the interwebs highways.
Yeah, let us know how your week went.
Exactly.
Anything happened to you? Anything big happened? Anything small happened? Anything memorable happened? Funny? Sad? Yeah? Drop it in there.
And in the meantime, Michael.
Jim.
How was your week?
My week was I don't remember a goddamn thing. My life is getting up 10 times a day, warming bottles, and falling asleep on the sofa with screaming kids.
Wow. I had a chance.
I don't remember which one I fed.
I don't know which one it was. I now have had a chance, though, to see these childrens, and these childrens, hey, our one audience member who had one job, which was to laugh or clap.
And the audience members watching us, on video, right?
So that our audience member can also be on the chat, but forgot to turn down their audio as the audience member.
It was down, but then I had to reconnect.
Yeah, sure. Okay. It's all good. Anyway, I got
This is
a chance
going well.
to...
This is going well. I can see this is going to go well. This is going to be an excellent show. This is going to be the best Isbaz ever.
Best is best ever. So I had a chance
Should we hug it out now?
Oh, man. I had a chance to hang on to these childrens, and they are the cutest little bundles of joy you've ever seen. And apparently, on the night that I was there, they were just angels, and
Bundles of joy, as
little
you said,
bundles of
bundles
joy.
of joy.
I got to hang out with the little tiny bundle and the little bit bigger bundle, and I got to give them my own names, and they really liked those names. And then they went to sleep. It was amazing. And then the next time I saw Michael, he was like, "Oh my God," and I was like, "How can this be?"
When Dennis came to pick me up yesterday, they were also divine and on best behavior.
Yeah.
A visitor from out of town, an unknown face, and he held them, and they were attentive and smiling and all these things.
Yeah.
And as soon as we left the house, it was mayhem.
Right. Well, that's what happens. You get the drunkle in, the drunk uncle, or was it the grumpy uncle, the grunkle, or was it the happy uncle, the hunkle?
I don't know. I think I haven't decided which of the uncles Dennis is at this point. I think Dennis isn't in fact an uncle because he's actually a grandfather, qualifies as granddad Dennis.
Oh wow, I love it. Yeah. Well, you deserve one of these.
I definitely
we might as
do.
well just do this. Please, ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors, and everybody in between, grab your beverage of choice and take this moment to slurp, slurp.
God damn it! It so hits the spot.
Oh, good. Good. Speaking of slurpers, our one audience member, I just noticed, is out of slurpers. And so I'm going to run real quick and get them a slurper.
Yes, you are. Okay.
This is going to sound terrible for a second, everybody.
I'm going to check out. You should color code the kids. I like that, actually, color code them. In fact, they are color coded. August is green and September is orange because those are the colors of the Twinny Icicle Pop. And Follower of Clay, it's Anne. No, you're wrong. Follower of Clay, it's not Anne. Was that a sad clap? It was a pretty sad clap, but we only have one audience member, so obviously it's going to be a sad clap.
Yeah. What's the sound of one audience person clapping? Sad.
8 and 9, not 9 and 10. Good.
Augie and Ember. So, yeah, that was a good past week.
Augie and Ember.
That's my new name.
So how was your week?
My week.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Andrew. My week was pretty good. Yep. That's
Just
all
a
I got.
swath of good.
It was a swath of fine. Mm-hmm. Got some stuff done. Got some other things not done. Did a recording. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's okay.
You did a Sox Talk politics recording
I did.
this week.
And on
Wait a minute. So there's a Brian Sock exclusive Sox Talk politics episode coming up. Is that right?
yeah, sort of. I mean, it's a pure BS.
Ah, nice.
Pure Brian Sock.
So if you haven't checked out Sox Talk Politics yet, you should do that on YouTube, and you should subscribe to the show.
Please.
It's a really good show for several reasons. One of the reasons is that we're both in it.
Yeah.
And one of the other reasons is that it's a really clever thing.
And another reason is it helps to pay my rent.
Yes. And the more people subscribe, the longer it's going to help to pay his rent. Yeah, I like the whole pure BS thing. So it's kind of been developing. It started out as a purely chat thing about politics, and it's kind of morphed into more than that. And it's a lot more driven by the characters that we've brought to the show than it used to be.
And there could be a thing that we're moving to another platform. It's all very interesting. Yeah. I did want to do a shout out to our friends and family and all the folks out there who in the recent times have lost some people. There's just been a lot of that around. And so we want to send out some big virtual hugs to all of those folks. It's crazy, and it's, yeah, just wild. So to those departed and to those who've been left behind, hugs and well wishes. Anyway, that was the last week. Wow, good, Jim. Great.
Well, we did that show last night. That was nice. We did a
oh dang!
We did a corporate show last night for one of the biggest corporations in Europe.
They're crazy big, right?
And we got paid quite well for it. And it went down really well. And we had food, which wasn't so good, at the Lindsberg Asia Therme.
Which we've done a review
on, and they have not got better since our review. In fact, I think they've got worse.
I think we should send them that review as a kick in their pants. Because, we meant it well.
Yes. We were positive in our last review of the... it was positive criticism. It was constructive criticism.
Yeah.
But they just took no notice of it at all. So now, Lindsberg Asia Therme, we're gonna shit talk about you. It's gonna get worse. It's all downhill from here.
That's right. The gloves are off.
Actually, I have to tell you something. So you remember the waitress, the bar lady,
the Hungarian,
the young Hungarian lady.
Yes.
So I'm talking to her. And she says, so where are you from? And I say, I'm from South Africa, but I've been living in Austria for a very long time. And she says, how long? And I say, since 1991. And she says, that's almost when I was born. And I say, when were you born? And she says, 1999.
Yep, 8 years previously. She was almost born.
And then I thought of that song, I'm Gonna Party Like It's 1999, or just 1999 by Prince.
Yeah.
When that song was a hit, we weren't even in the 90s yet.
No.
I was still a teenager rocking out to that song.
Yeah.
And 1999 seemed like it was way in the future. It's like we were never going to reach 1999. That's how it felt.
I think because that song came out like in '84. Mm-hmm. I want to venture that.
I think I was on Prince's first album. It was on that album with Little Red Corvette.
Yeah. That wasn't his first one, I don't think.
Probably not.
No.
It's impossible. He made like 300 albums.
Yeah, I mean, so just crazy.
It must have been like his 120th album.
I watched an interview with him from around that time on CNN. It was an interview with him on CNN.
That's impossible because CNN only started in just before the first Gulf War.
No, then maybe it wasn't around that time. It was looking back at that time. So maybe it must have been later. So it must have been in the 90s at some point.
Sorry.
It doesn't matter.
Okay. So what was he on about?
It was just a really lovely interview with somebody who was just incredibly well-spoken and smart and talking about that whole thing. It was during the time when he changed his name to the symbol and how the media couldn't deal with that. You know, the artist formerly known as Prince, which was something that he never said. It was what they had to do to.
Right.
It was super interesting.
He went through that whole thing.
Crazy, right?
That who's the front man of Creedence Clearwater Revival? John Fogerty.
John Fogerty.
Being in a battle with his record companies that he couldn't play his own material and all this is, crazy what the music industry does.
Yeah.
Just throwing sticks in your way.
Yeah, because he was suing because his song that he wrote sounded too much like the song that he wrote.
But he was sued because the song that he wrote
sounded too much like the song that he wrote.
But he won in court because the judge said he can't plagiarize himself.
Yeah.
So got kicked out of court.
Yeah.
Did you see Purple Rain, the movie?
Sure.
Yeah. How many times?
Oh, I must have seen it a ton of times. Yeah. A ton of times.
I had that video on repeat for like a whole weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely part of the rotation.
I saw an interview with Wendy, who used to be in his band back then. just popped up in my YouTube feed.
Right.
You know, she's still a professional guitar player.
I'm sure.
And she does a lot of music for movies, a lot of like soundscaping stuff.
Yeah.
And she was demoing this new foot pedal board that she's got.
Yeah.
And she showed you exactly how to make the intro sounds of Purple Rain.
Very nice.
Yeah. She like dialed it in and said, "This is how I do this." Yeah.
I love it.
That's nice.
Let's take a look at who we got here on the chat and say hello to them. Follower of Clay is in the house. Hello. Verena is in the house. Verena, hello. Everybody wave to Verena. Verena, wave to the screen.
Camera.
Very good. Andrew.
Catherine Martinez.
Catherine Martinez.
Martinez or Martinez, I don't know. We don't know her. It could be either or both.
Follower of Clay. Muchado in the house. Hello, Muchado. And follower of Clay,
Follow Clay.
I had to write an essay in school around 1980, how we imagine the year in 99. It did seem that far away.
Yeah,
it really did. It was such a
but you know,
end of times.
we were so young back then that it's just seemed like it was, you know, an unreachable destination.
Absolutely. So
and now it's further away than it was when we thought we'd never get there.
Exactly. Time is meaningless. Speaking of never thinking we would get there, that's the end of our intro.
This has been the longest intro.
And we want to let you know that It Should Be About Something not only comes to you every Thursday at 8:30.
It also comes to you in 3 segments.
That's right. We call them chapters, and this is Chapter 1. So there it is.
Animated series.
On your favorite animated series. So
We've got no audience clap for the first. I think we should have got there should be someone holding up a board.
holding up the
audience.
sign.
Yeah.
Chapter 1.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, audience
The audience
member.
goes berserk.
We'll,
Ape shit, actually.
yeah, we still
We're plying them with alcohol.
No one has guessed yet who our audience member is. You can continue to guess. Thank you very much, audience member. You can write in the chat
For a free set of stickers, who the audience member is, if you
guess it correctly, you're going to get some awesome stickers. So, on your favorite animated series, what is it? Do you have a favorite animated series? Are you one of those people that just says, I don't like animated things at all? Let's get a good list going. What's the animated series that you always recommend to people? What's the one you can't watch anymore?
What's the one that you refuse to watch? What's the one that's so bad that you would not? So, Jim.
Yes.
Which is currently
your
favorite animated series?
Currently. I guess currently, my favorite animated series would have to be either Bob's Burgers or Big Mouth. Both of which I think are
So I've not
super
seen
fun.
Bob's Burgers, but I've seen Big Mouth, and that's an amazing show.
Pretty fantastic.
In fact, because the audience member was talking about sex education, I think that's the thing that I'm going to show my kids.
Right.
When they reach sex education.
Yeah. There's some. It's very clever. It's fantastic. Bob's Burgers is very heartwarming, and I'm super into that. I did do the one stint. There's only one season of it so far. Vox Machina.
Have not heard of it.
Which came out of a podcast of people talking about Dungeons and Dragons, in that sort of role-playing game, and they built a whole script out of playing the game.
Right.
And it's quite fun and nice. And so as a series, the current one.
All right.
Do you have a current favorite animated series?
At the moment, it's Rick and Morty.
Fantastic.
I think in Austria we're in season 4, but I think in the US or Canada they might already be in season 5. I binge watched it. I went back to the start and just binge watched it again.
All right. Yeah, it's pretty fantastic. Now, back in the day, let's go. I want to go super childhood now. All right.
Yes.
So I'm talking before puberty. Do you have any favorites
Yes,
from back then?
my absolute favorite was Roadrunner.
Okay, Warner Brothers.
We didn't get Roadrunner in South
Right.
Africa, but we visited my cousins in Canada
Right.
in 1976.
Right.
And we spent what felt like a whole summer watching daytime TV.
And it was in color.
And it was in color. Well,
'Cause Michael didn't have color
we
TV.
didn't have TV at that point yet.
Yeah.
Right?
And then
When
you didn't
when
get
got
color
TV,
until
it was
like-
black and white until afterwards, right? So we watched.
You went barefoot to school.
Roadrunner, and I did go barefoot to school.
I know.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I watched Roadrunner and what's that puppet thing?
Puppet thing? HR Puffin stuff?
No. Big Bird and
Sesame Street.
Sesame Street. Lots of Sesame Street.
Okay.
And
Now you're getting off topic. I'm talking about
no. I was talking about daytime TV.
series.
But Roadrunner. Yeah.
Roadrunner.
Absolute
Okay,
fave.
so Warner Brothers was a big fave. Did you have any favorite characters from Warner Brothers besides Roadrunner? Like Bugs, you got your all the Warner Brothers,
not
Bugs Bunny.
Really,
No, it wasn't part of your thing.
Yeah,
So when I was that age, I loved the Warner Brothers cartoons, absolutely. I was also super into Mr. Magoo.
which I've not seen.
Loved Mr. Magoo.
Mm-hmm.
I loved. It wasn't a series, but it is one of the most fabulous shorts you'll ever see. Chuck Jones did it, so it's from the Warner Brothers
Doesn't actually
Studios.
count as a series.
The thing I'm going to say right now doesn't count as a series, but I'm going to put it out there. It's Ricky Tikki Tavi. The story of
so
Ricky
Mr.
Tikki
Magoo
Tavi.
is a series.
Mr. Magoo was a
Okay.
series of cartoons, but the thing I'm talking about now, keep up, Michael, was Ricky Tikki Tavi. And Ricky Tikki Tavi is an amazing thing. Check it out on the YouTubes.
Ricky Tikki Tavi is not an American show, though, is it?
Like I
It's
said.
from somewhere else.
Well, no, it is from the Just So stories by Rudyard Kipling. But the production I'm talking about is from the late 60s, and Chuck Jones, I believe, I'm right on that, directed it, and it is amazing. It's 22 minutes of gorgeous storytelling and wonderful animation. So anyway, okay, so now we're getting to teenage years. What was?
I didn't have one.
Were you a G.I. Joe guy? Were
No.
you any of those things? No.
No. There wasn't much in the way of animated series to see in South Africa when I was a kid, or like when I was a teenager. So, yeah.
Yeah. So there was a time then when, and this is later, it wasn't quite my teenage years, but later in my young adulthood, Ren and Stimpy,
Yeah, I might have seen that at some point.
the Animaniacs.
Nope.
So both of these series changed the way I looked at life. I think there were some amazing, yeah, absolutely. Ren and Stimpy was amazingly disgusting and pushing boundaries,
Right.
and kind of became the template for a lot of things that came after. But none of it was as smart and as so fully fleshed out as that one.
And when I came
found.
to Austria, I started watching animated series again because they were on various TV channels in Europe. And one of my favorites then was Cow and Chicken,
Right, which I never got into. I was past
which
that.
I was totally into.
Yeah.
That was a great series. Yeah.
And the Animaniacs were just
Never heard of them.
You never heard of the Animaniacs? Oh my gosh, I'm going to send you so many things.
Cool.
Just some brilliant stuff. Where we'd be sitting there, and this was like suddenly it was a network television show, and there would be these adults. We would cram around this little section in the apartment where we had this little tiny television, and there would be 6 adults crammed around watching this as it came on, and we're all just like, "What? I can't believe they just did that! Are you kidding me?" It was really forming for me back then.
I remember one animated series that was on TV in South Africa was La Linea.
La Linea. Oh, so good.
Yeah. So I think we need to go to the chat because there's
Yeah.
a ton of things in here.
Yeah, everyone's got
Okay.
all some great stuff here. Futurama,
Yeah.
Archer. Shout out to Amber, our friend Amber, and to Lucky, who are actually on Archer.
It's Monica. Doesn't say anything to me.
Oh no, that's Muchado's guessing that our audience.
Oh, it's
members-
Monica.
No,
No, it's not Monica.
Nope.
Yeah, but so I thought it's Monica. Is it an animated series I've never heard of? Because I've never heard of so many.
Ice Age, a series of movies. Yeah, really fun.
Yeah.
Really fun.
Doesn't really count as an animated series though. It's an
Baba
animated movie.
Papas. Now that was I think that it feels like that was bigger in Europe than it was in North America.
Yeah.
But those characters are so squishy and international and so weird.
When I was a late teen, early twen, the Baba Papas was on TV at around about 5:30.
Right.
Which was a time I was fairly often drunk.
Right.
So I'd watch it.
Yeah. There you go.
And I was surprised how entertaining I found it.
Yeah, sure. Futurama, fantastic. Cat Dog.
Ren and Stimpy.
Ren and Stimpy. See? FOC. Family Guy.
Metalocalypse.
Where? What?
Metalocalypse. 111.
Metalocalypse.
Metalocalypse.
Never heard of it.
No, I don't know.
We'll have to put that on the list.
So Family Guy, one of my absolute favorites. Actually, I prefer Family Guy to Simpsons.
Whoa.
You.
Whoa.
Yes.
Whoa.
They stole and they stole well. And they have an animated dog. But they have a dog who talks.
They do indeed. Whoa. All right.
Garfield. So on my way over here, I was thinking favorite animated series. And I thought, wait a minute. If we talk about favorite animated series, do we get to talk about least favorite animated series? And there's a difference between least favorite animated series and disappointing animated series.
Right.
And Garfield is one of the most disappointing animated series in my memory ever.
Yeah.
Because they did not live up to the cartoons.
The comics, you mean?
Absolutely not live up to the comics. Yeah. The first time I saw Garfield, the animated show, I was like, huh? No way. I was ready to write an angry letter to my congressman.
But you know what did work out, I think, is the Charlie Brown cartoons.
Yes, they
I'm not talking about whatever came afterwards. I'm talking about the ones from the 60s.
Did they really make them into a series? They made them... Oh, I see. Right.
I'm talking about the movies from the 60s.
But it's movies. It's not a series.
Yeah, but it was a series of movies.
Yeah, it doesn't really count as a series.
Well,
we're talking about a TV series. Come on, we're talking about a series.
Okay, fine.
It's a TV.
We move on. Korgoth of Barbaria. I've never heard of this, but...
Of course, follower of Clay watches.
Yeah, I love it. I'm going to put it on the list. Do you remember there was like... there was something the Barbarian, and it was like a future barbarian dude, and he had a dinosaur that looked like a triceratops, but it could shoot fireballs out of its triceratops.
You make me think of the Flintstones, which was one of my favorite animated series.
The Flintstones were amazing, right?
And no, I've never ever seen that. It sounds like a take on He-Man.
Yeah, it was like around that time. And maybe Mr. Perkins will be able to figure that out, the one I'm talking about. It's like,
Count Duckula?
Count
no.
Duckula.
Prince Planet? No. Danger Mouse?
Danger Mouse.
FOC is the biggest watcher of animated series.
Yeah, he's on it. Now, Danger Mouse, you might remember that. I remember that. That was like an English one.
I know there was
and he had like a
band
little
called
hamster.
Danger
He was like a secret agent. And he drove a sports car. Lived in a.
Was it really animated?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And had Penfold. He had a little an assistant. Was like a little hamstery kind of guy with big glasses. And they lived in an English post box, like a pillbox thing. And he drove a sports car. Danger Mouse. It was like around the same time as Inspector Gadget.
I remember Inspector Gadget.
Martina in the house. Hey, sweetheart. The Gummy Bears. That was after my time. But my sisters loved the Gummy Bears. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you had the bouncing Gummy Bears and.
I never got into the Gummy Bears.
They were kind of like a jelly version of the Smurfs.
Yeah, and I never liked the Smurfs either. I hated the Smurfs.
Oh, the Smurfs had some interesting things going for it, I think. Muchacho, Tom and Jerry. Yeah. Tom and classic.
Yeah, Tom and Jerry was great.
Classic Tom and Jerry. Do you remember Pepe Le Pew? The skunk that would always fall in love with a cat that would somehow get like a white stripe on it.
I'm being reminded of Tweety and Sylvester as well.
Tweety and Sylvester.
That was pretty good.
What about Marvin? Oh no, where is the earth-shattering kaboom? I need my XJ35 space modulator.
I wonder how long he can do this before he has to throw up. That always tickles my larynx in a way that makes me want to hurl. Doing that voice. Even hearing you doing that voice makes me want to hurl. I think it's time for a slurp.
Dang.
I need to wash that down.
Philly Girl 1000 says Rocky and Bullwinkle. Rocky and Bullwinkle,
Yeah.
classic.
I don't know.
You don't remember Rocky and Bullwinkle?
I've heard the title, but never seen.
Fractured Fairy Tales was also part of that. Count Duckula was awesome, as were the Gummy Bears. Pinky and the Brain.
Pinky and the Brain.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Pinky and the Brain came from the Animaniacs.
Right, okay.
So you've heard of Pinky and the Brain.
No, Pinky and the Brain I used to watch, yeah. I
Okay,
like that.
so they were a section of the Animaniacs.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah.
Animaniacs are back, by the way. Okay, nice to know.
Animaniacs are back. I've heard about that.
Right.
As a kid, I loved Perrine and Nicholas. Okay. Was that about a big white dog? I have this memory of this, like, maybe it was a French one, and it was about this little girl who was with a big white dog, and they would call her the big white dog, the white monster, and it was like this big Pyrenees dog, and they were crossing the Pyrenees, constantly crossing the Pyrenees, and the dog would help out in ventures, and she would go along and, no? Making any sense?
No.
Do you know what Perrine and Nicholas was?
No.
Okay. Thundar the Barbarian. That was the
This
one
is the He-Man type thing. Thunder.
Thundar. Thundar the Barbarian.
They sat around the table for a long time before they came up with that title.
Yeah. So the idea of nowadays with animated series, there's so many that they're like recycling. I don't know if you've noticed this on Netflix, but there's like 3 or 4 series, and they all have the exact same style of animation. All of the characters look almost exactly the same, and it's just situations to have people say funny shit, which can be interesting and fun, but it always seems those ones that are specific, the ones that become specific. That said,
Rick and Morty.
we did watch a lot of Transformers and Autobots, which was a different one, right?
Yeah, I never got into Transformers.
GoBots, which were similar to the space ones, where they would have all these different lion-shaped space ships that would form into one big fighting guy with a flaming sword.
Yeah.
Did a lot of drugs back then. I think we did it. That was chapter 1. Awesome. Favorite animated series. If you're looking for something new. Oh, thank you, our audience member.
Thank you, audience member. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Glad you enjoyed that first segment.
And we've got a good list here. So we're going to move on. Once again, however, we'll let you know if you can guess who our one audience member is. You can get a whole pack of stickers.
Which is 3 stickers times 2.
Yeah.
2 of each.
We're going to give them a hint.
We're going to give them a hint?
We're going to give them a hint. I'm going to give them a hint.
You're going to give them a hint at the top of chapter 2?
Yeah.
This is like, we've only done 1/3 of the show.
Yeah, well, you're the munkle. You're the mean uncle right now. I'm going to be the funkle. I'm the fun uncle.
Funkle.
Yeah, I'm the funkle. So here's your here's your hint. Our one audience member is very active on the chat. You will have seen this person on the chat. It is a chat person. Dun dun dun. That's the hint.
Okay.
Boom.
And moving on from that hint straight to chapter 2.
Boom. Chapter 2.
On people wearing hats. Nice.
Getting there, audience member. Pretty good. Pretty good. And I noticed.
Multiply that audience member with alcohol, the better the audience member gets.
Did you notice how happy that clap was?
Totally. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
So, are you a hat wearer?
Yes.
Do you know people who wear hats? Do you like wearing hats? Do you not like wearing hats?
Do you have strong opinions about hats? Some people are like, I don't want to hang out with anybody
Like,
with
what
a hat.
kind of hat can you wear? What kind of hat can you not wear? What kind of hat do you hate
Do you
wearing?
always go out in a hat?
Do you never go out in a hat? Do you refuse to wear hats? Yes.
Are you men without hats? Do you ever do the safety dance? A safety dance. You safety dance. A safety dance. Yes, safety dance.
All right, put a hat on it.
Okay, Michael. I'm asking you. Ba-da-ba-da-boom. Are you ready for this? Ba-da-ba-da-boom.
Yep.
Are you a hat wearer? Yes or no?
Yes.
Have you always been a hat wearer? Yes or no?
Yes. No.
Okay. Yes and no. All right. When did you start wearing hats?
About 15, I guess.
Okay. What kind of hat was your first hat?
Sort of a Stetson-y type thing.
Whoa, like a cowboy hat?
Yeah, the closest thing to that I could find.
You wanted a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
You're 15, you wanted a cowboy hat.
Yeah, I think I was more like 18 or 19 at that time.
Are you going for like a Richie Sambora?
Yes, I was in a band and we were into wearing cowboy hats.
And you were wearing cowboy hats because you had to be a rocking out cowboy.
Yeah, totally. And I had an ace of diamonds or an ace of spades.
In the brim?
In the brim.
Oh, so good. And you were wanted. Dead or alive.
I have a photograph of myself.
Yeah.
With that band.
So good.
Took a shot in the backyard of our drummer's house.
So good. Were you all looking in different directions?
His mom took the photograph.
Yeah? Were you all looking in different directions?
No, I think we were all looking at the camera.
Yeah. So hot. What color was the hat?
It was grey.
Whoa. So I had a thing of baseball hats for a while. I would wear baseball hats.
You see, where I come from, that doesn't actually count as a hat.
Ah, okay. So that was very much a hat for me.
It's a cap.
I see. So I'm not making a distinction right now.
I've grown up to the point where I'll accept any kind of headgear as a hat.
That's, I think, what we're talking. Yeah. Sorry, using hat as a catch-all. You gotta be,
No. Sure, you gotta be specific.
Yeah, because he's the spunkle.
Yeah.
The specific uncle. So
Get that from my grandmother.
as our spunkle tonight. Here's my question.
69.
No, stop it.
I'm going to be the spunkle next week.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Okay, now that you put it that way, I don't want to use the word spunkle anymore. That's
Next week, episode 69. It's going to be sexy.
No, stop it. Stop it. The spunkle is no longer a thing.
Touching him under the table.
No, stop touching me under the table. So, okay, so, hats, butts. Now, you moved on from cowboy hats after you got out of your rocker phase. What was your next kind of hat?
No. I stayed in the kind of cowboy hattish type thing for a very long time.
Got it. And then at the end of that cycle, what was your next kind of hat?
I'm not in that. There's no new cycle. I'm still in
I
that
never
cycle.
see you in a cowboy hat. When are you often in a cowboy hat?
I bought, the last cowboy hat I bought was 6 years ago or something. I bought myself a leather cowboy hat.
I don't remember ever seeing you.
It's very difficult wearing a hat in Vienna. It's impractical to wear a hat in Vienna.
No, but I do have seen you with hats. I'm talking head.
You have seen me with hats.
I have done.
In summer, like with a straw hat.
I will see you with a straw hat sometimes. In winter, I will often see you with a flat cap.
Yes, I like flat caps.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you.
No, I was in that kind of wide-brimmed cowboy hat phase for a very long time. I bought a very, very nice hat in Faro in 1992, I think, in the south of Portugal.
1992? I was almost born then.
And the hat got stolen by the dog of the people my cousin was working for when I visited her in Paris a couple of years later.
Right.
She was a nanny for this rich couple, and they had kids, and they were both like diplomats or something. and the dog came into the room I was staying in and stole my hat and buried it somewhere in the garden.
That's harsh
And
critic.
that was harsh because
That's a harsh critique on your hat.
I'd worn that hat to like concerts, and it had survived.
Right.
It had survived 50,000 person
Right.
rock concerts, and it got stolen by a dumb dog somewhere in the outskirts of Paris.
Sounds
I was
to me
very
like-
pissed off about it.
sounds-
And my cousin, who sometimes listens to the show later on because she lives in New Zealand, she listens to the show later on in the car. I want that hat, and I don't want the hat back. I want you to recognize that fucking dog stole my hat, because you always said, nah, it wasn't the dog. Couldn't be the dog. It was the dog. The dog stole my hat. I said to her, you know, when you picked me up from the station, I was wearing a hat. Do you remember that? And she was like, nah.
Hats come and go. I went through this whole
They do.
series of time where I would lose my baseball cap that I would always buy at the surplus store in Monument Square in Portland. And this went on for a number of years, and I would always lose it in springtime at
Always
some
the
point.
same cap.
I would buy, sometimes I would get a different color, but it was just a very plain baseball cap. And I wore that all the time.
No design or anything.
No
Just-
design.
yeah.
You know, I used to be a Yankees fan, so I would wear a Yankees cap when I was younger and was into baseball. But growing up in Maine, they're all Boston Red Sox fans, and the
So you
Red
got
Sox
beaten
hate
up
the
quite a
Yankees.
lot.
Yeah. So I just liked wearing my plain blank cap. And I would always lose that cap and then have to go to the surplus store and buy a new one. It was fantastic, and I loved that ritual. And then I just... Oh, I think what happened was I grew my hair out. I had long hair, and then I had long hair for a long time.
Did you ever do that thing where you stick your long hair through the back of the cap?
Yeah, no.
That's really cheesy.
Yes, yeah,
I
that's
did that
awful.
for a bit, but it's a terrible thing
Yeah,
to do.
no, I never did that one. Yeah, once my hair got long enough, then you couldn't wear the cap
You
anymore.
always have all that hair to stick in that hat, and this is the thing. For a long time, in my kind of late teens and early 20s, I had fairly long hair.
Yeah.
And wearing a hat over fairly long, and I have very thick, dense hair as well.
It's so thick, it's rich, it's creamy. He's got incredible hair.
Structure.
Say structure again.
Structure.
Like that. Structure.
Depth. Girth. That my scalp would just sweat so much under my hat that I stopped wearing them. I want to go to the chat.
Okay. So we're going to move back to the chat here. And Funkel always sounds like something growing on your foot. True dat.
Yeah, it's right next to Sankt Feet on the Glan.
Sunk fight on the glen. More booze for the audience. I agree.
Yeah, the audience is a whole bottle. They're not drinking quickly enough.
Yeah, but they're doing fine. Occasionally, hat wearer, says Andrew, usually a ball cap. Fedora. Well,
Ooh, I've never
milady.
seen him wear a fedora before.
Though I can see Andrew wearing a fedora. So now this is what happened to me. I got to a point where I got into this age where I wasn't young enough to wear a hat like a young man would, with the swagger and innocent, baldness of, I'm going to wear a cowboy hat. But I wasn't old enough to wear a hat as a distinguished gentleman. And every time I put on a hat, I just looked
And those times
wrong.
have gone. I don't think you can ever wear a hat as a distinguished gentleman these days. You just look
think
weird.
I'm not going to get old enough to be able to do
Like
that.
you would have to move to South America or somewhere where people wear hats.
I'm gonna be able to do it, man. I'm gonna. It's not yet, but as soon as I get old enough, I'm gonna wear a hat like a distinguished
Yeah,
gentleman.
you say that's that old weird guy.
There was a
Just
short time.
Don't smell underneath his hat. It smells weird.
There was a short time where I had a flat cap thing where Maya, shout out to Maya, bought me a Joe Bill. Official Joe Bill flat cap, because Joe Bill always used to wear that flat cap, and I had a flat cap like Joe Bill. I love that until.
Verena Müller, you only wear a hat when driving? Yes.
Hat drivers. That's
Hat
a
drivers.
That's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing here.
Where all you see is their hat and the knuckles. We have at least one hat wearer, one bandana wearer, and one neutral one. A bandana wearer. There was a time when I had long hair that I would wear a bandana.
Bandanas look ridiculous.
Yeah, but it was, it was the 90s. And I had this
Exactly.
long,
Because-
crazy,
and-
awesome hair.
That's right. And in the 90s, one of the top bands was Guns N' Roses, so bandanas were totally in. Bandanas and white shorts.
You could throw down with a bandana.
Yeah.
Can't do that anymore. Hats are only
Clay.
worn on
It's
vacation.
not clay. No, Martina Riegler, it's not clay.
Oh,
FOC. She's saying it's FOC, but it's not.
good guess,
It's a good guess, though. Yeah.
but it's not.
It ain't.
Is
Hats
the
are
audience...
only worn on vacation. Swinger club, NRC. Yes, this is actually very true.
That's a nice take.
There's a lot to be said for that. Okay, in inclement weather in Austria, wearing a hat that keeps your head warm but doesn't get blown off by the wind is a good choice. So it's obviously not that kind of wide-brimmed or cowboy hat type thing. It's more a cap or woolen kind of what do you call those woolen things? Oh, a mitten for your nut.
A mitten for your
Mitten
nut?
for your nut. for your, for,
I don't know why that name never took off, Michael.
A mitten for your noggin.
A noggin mitten.
Mitten for your noggin.
Yeah.
Now, what are they called? A woolen...
A wool cap.
Wool cap? Nah, that's not what they're called.
A watch cap.
Watch cap.
What the sailors
but
would
I
wear.
think those also count as hats these days.
Sure. So here's the thing about
So
hats.
yes, only on vacation actually is when you get to wear a hat, because you're not doing a lot of things that you would generally be doing, like using public transport or running to catch public transport or getting in and out of cars and stuff like that. So you actually get to wear a hat, because hats can be very impractical in modern day situations.
I hear you.
And you need to put them somewhere, and you lose them.
Exactly. And this is all the reasons why I think it's very interesting when you see, especially a woman wearing a hat. Because that hat says so much.
Right.
It says not only does this person feel like they're rocking out in this hat, but it also says this person has the time and wherewithal to take care of this hat, to make sure that it's nice, so there's all that within that hat. Deborah Francis White, the wonderful Deborah White, shout out to Deborah, she had this whole thing about that, about when she would do presents and coaching for people, she would get women to wear hats. And she said it was always amazing to watch how their status changed, how their body language would change.
Because you take up more space when you're wearing a hat.
Not even talking about like big,
No, but you take up more space when you're wearing a hat.
Yeah, because your status or because your whole thing is somehow bigger. And ever since that time, I just like that idea. Now, there are, however, times where a hat can be a very good filter. Like, it can tell you about a certain person.
Oh yeah, there's lots of crazy under hats.
Yeah, this is true.
Sometimes there's definitely kind of hats you want to stay away from. Yes, in fact, the audience member is on the chat today.
That's
FOC.
another, wow, you just gave away that clue like
Direct
that?
question.
All right.
Oh, you were going to ignore it?
Martina's asking, it's Catherine. Nope.
No, it's not.
Nice try, though.
That's why the dog stole it. It probably had a bad smell.
Yeah.
I resent that because
You resemble that.
because you were there when I bought that hat.
So, it's smulikt a bit. Yeah. I think that's a very good verbiage of Michael's name. It's smulikt. It's smulikt a little. Always wear a hat when working. Always wear a hat.
Yeah, but Much Ado, spends a lot of her time in the sun. So yeah,
Muchado's got
she has an outdoor job, so she needs to.
Well,
wear
there you
hats.
go.
Yeah.
Andrew calling it a toque, which I think is spelled differently, but maybe it's not. But a toque, which is a Canadian word for a beanie, a cap,
Right.
a woolen cap.
A woolen cap, a beanie.
No, it's not a beanie.
It's not a beanie.
What about
They're
those
called
dudes?
beanies,
Okay,
they're
so
not called beanies.
a hat that for me is always a bit of a warning sign is it's like a skull cap. It's like a circle with walls, and it's usually balding men that will wear them, or it'll be like dudes from the Middle East, and
those Turkish things.
Yeah, but not without the tassel. It's not a fez, but it's
the fez without the fezzy bit.
The fez without the fez. Whenever I see that kind of a dude in that kind of a hat,
it's like
it's always like, unless you are a jazz percussionist, I've got some worries about you.
There's always those failed artists, and they're usually kind of wearing very like kaftans, and they.
It's like when
and smoking cigarettes between these fingers. Or these fingers, right?
Or older white ladies with dreads and orange cloth wrapped up and around their head.
There's so much wrong with that image.
Yeah, those ones are a bit of a warning sign.
Okay. Kentucky Derby hats.
Kentucky Derby hats.
I don't think I know what a Kentucky Derby hat looks like, actually.
Oh, they're like in Astor, like whenever, what are the horse racers?
Ascot. You're talking about Ascot.
Ascot.
You're talking about a boater.
No. A boater hat is from, the 20s. It's a very small straw hat. Mm-hmm. And the Kentucky Derby hats are like what they do in Ascot. With the ladies wearing very wide-brimmed hats, sort of old-fashioned with lots of flowers, and the hats are
on top of the hat.
The hat is the star of the show. Yeah.
One of my best hat-wearing person memories is actually my Uncle Norman.
Yeah.
Who had a farm near Pretoria, and he was a real, honest to goodness farmer.
Right.
He was a real farmer. And he wore a hat, I think, like every day of his life. And he'd come in the house and he'd hang his hat on a hook, and he'd have lunch, and then he'd go out in the fields again, he'd walk out, the first thing he'd put his hat on and walk out. I remember seeing him, kind of walking around the farm. We stayed there for a while. We kind of visited quite a lot when I was a small kid. And he always had that hat on. I don't actually remember what kind of hat it was, but he was definitely a hat person.
Right. Yeah, there's certain things, they become part of somebody's personality, if you see somebody always with their glasses and you see them without their glasses, you see somebody always with a hat.
But it was a practical thing because it was outdoors. Oh, another thing that he used to do was suck on stones. Because he'd be out in the fields and he didn't take a drink with him, or I guess he could drink water from the. I guess it was a long walk back to where there was water. So, and he never took a bottle with him because it was way before we'd take a bottle or something. Maybe he'd take a flask of tea.
Right.
But he'd have these sucking stones and he'd collect them in his pockets, and he'd have these sucking stones to kind of bridge the thirst.
Yeah, I hear you.
Sucking stones. Yeah.
Sucking stones.
And I was...
Sucking
stones. 69 sucking stones. 66. There's a whole chapter in Malone about sucking stones. Malone by Sam
Malone from Cheers?
No, not Sam Malone.
Samuel Beckett. Verena says, I think fascinators should be worn more. I agree wholeheartedly. Fascinators, you know what a fascinator is?
Those things you stick in your hair that kind of make you...
It's like a little tiny hat.
Oh, those little tiny hats.
Or like a little bow. It's like a little, just a little fascinator.
Like those little burgers that go on the top of margaritas. The little burgers that go on the top of Bloody Marys.
Bloody Marys, yeah. The burger on a Bloody Mary is the fascinator of a morning cocktail.
The fascinator of morning cocktails, yeah.
I think we did it.
Yeah.
That's it. People wearing hats. I think if you can rock a hat, go and rock a hat. It's a nice little ritual. Take care of it. People do notice subconsciously.
Totally. And hats will, I think, remain a vacation thing. But I have managed to travel well with hats. These days, when I travel with a hat and I'm flying, particularly when I'm flying, I pack the hat in my luggage.
Right.
You can fill the hat with things.
Sure.
You can put it down, you can fill around the hat with things, right? So they don't need to get damaged or anything like that. You can fly with them.
Yeah.
Try it out. Learn to pack. I think that should be a chapter.
Hats,
Learn
40 slurps out of 50. Slurp, slurp, everybody.
Slurp
Good
is
job.
up. And
Can you not reach? You can. Are you sure? Yeah. Thank you, audience member. So
we were going to do something at the top of the show, but we forgot to.
what were we going to do at the top of the show?
Well, it's too late now.
It's too late now. So let's have a quick word to our sponsor.
The audio's open on this. I can turn the audio off. You can tell me. We were going to.
And now back to the show.
Back to the show.
Yeah.
We were going to say, we were going to prep the audience.
Right.
We're going to prep the live audience and prep the online audience for this new chapter.
Oh, right.
At the top of the show.
Forget about it.
Completely forgot about it.
It's all fine. So we're moving on to chapter 3 now. Before we do that, we still have our one audience member. And you can still guess who our one audience member is. The clues so far. Yes, thank you, Andrew. We figured that out. Our clues so far are you know this person from the chat, and this person is on the chat right now. And is there another clue that we want to give them?
Halfway through this chapter, we'll give them another clue.
Okay. Halfway through this chapter, we'll give them another clue. We're coming up to chapter number 3.
Audience member is very enthusiastic about this third chapter.
Yeah.
Very enthusiastic.
Chapter number 3.
3 whoops for chapter number 3.
Ask us anything. Chapter number 3.
Holding up boards. 3 whoops.
Doing
chapter number 3.
Doing great over
So
there.
ask us anything. So okay, since we don't have anything from the audience yet, and we forgot to prep them to ask us anything. So audience, please write in the chat anything that you want to ask us in duo or individually.
That's right.
Just post that in the
No
chat.
holds barred.
And we'll start this off. And we'll ask each other things.
Okay.
Just to kind of get
Sounds
this going.
good.
Okay. And I could have prepped myself actually and thought about what I want to ask you.
Yeah, but that would be so weird.
That'd be so weird. So now there's just going to be a long silence.
Okay.
While I think of.
All right. You just think for a
asking-
while. Do 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 do.
Are you not going to switch between? I can't think while you do that. I really can't think while you do that.
My buttons don't work anymore.
Stop messing with the thing. Right. Will the beard come back, Jim?
Will the beard come back? Oh. Wait a minute. That's not your question. That came from Father
FOC.
Clay.
FOC. Yeah. No, I don't actually have a question yet. I might come up with one.
All right. So here's the answer to that. Eventually, but right now I'm kind of into having my face back. But yeah, maybe if someone will pay me to have the beard again, that would be nice. I always wanted somebody to pay me to cut my hair. It never happened. But maybe someone will pay me to grow my hair back. Probably will never happen. But eventually the beard will come back.
I think you ended up paying yourself to cut your hair. Because I think your career took off after you cut that
That probably is
that
true.
mop of...
Although I have to admit, I did get paid to shave the beard off.
Ah.
So that's why the beard came off. So will the beard come back? Yes, eventually.
So here's what we're going to do. For episode 69,
Which is next week.
you're going to dig up a
69.
photograph of yourself with that long hair.
Okay.
And I'm going to dig up that photograph of myself with that cowboy hat with the ace of spades in it.
Oh, God.
Okay? And we shall present these
Okay.
for episode number 6.
All right. Next week is going to be wild. We've already got all these production ideas.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to find out how many of them
how many
actually come to fruition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Michael, what's your question?
I think I still don't have a question. Do you have a question for me?
Oh, see, this is how he plays that. Sure, I've got a question for you. I'm not going to use Verena's question, though. I'm going to use my own question because I have integrity. Here's my question for you, Michael. I already asked you last week which of your children you love more. I also asked you...
I think I successfully answered that question.
I also asked you
I answered it very
who
well.
you love more, your wife or your children.
Mm-hmm. I answered that one very well.
Yeah, I think you did a good job with all those questions. Now, do you have, honestly, what is your biggest worry for your children? What's the debt that you're paying that you don't really owe? What's the worry that you have? Worries are just, like paying a debt you don't owe.
I think the thing I worry about the most is what kind of world we've been creating for the past, I guess, 40, 50 years. Like this capitalist hell of just like burn everything down
capitalistic bullshit,
forget about what's going to happen after that. And I think there's a lot of young people who are truly worried that there's no future, there's no plan for a future for them.
No future kids.
And I totally get that. I totally get that they're worried about that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the worry that I have for my kids as well. It's well within the calculations that certain parts of the planet are going to become uninhabitable.
Yeah.
And that's
thanks, Obama.
Well, there's already uninhabitable parts of the planet. They've always been uninhabitable, right? Yeah. But there's going to be a lot more of them in the future.
Like your bathroom after you've had your morning ablutions. You can't live in that place anymore.
Yeah.
It's a climate disaster.
That's what I meant.
No, I hear you.
That's the kind of thing I worry about most for them at this point.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's a good answer.
So for their futures.
I wait.
And I worry about them suffocating in their sleep on a daily basis.
Right. just keep waking up. That's all I ask. Do you know how angry? Do you know how angry Christina would be if
I broke one of the kids?
If she came home and you guys weren't waking up, you need to just wake up again. Okay, that's all I ask.
I've said this before, but I do sometimes get up when they're in their room, in their bed, and I'm on the sofa. I get up and I go to their room, just check that they're still alive.
Do that again.
How many times does Christina come in at the same time?
Just make sure they're alive.
Poke them to see if they're okay. If they move, then it's okay. I'm trying to get better at that.
I hear you. Okay. What do we got here for the next question? Verena asks, do you have a combined name for the twinnies yet? Purange, Smulikis, Augimber. Augie and Ember, that's my name. You can jump on that bandwagon if you want. It's a good bandwagon.
Actually, we've been using twinnies.
Yeah, twinnies. Yeah,
right.
That's the combined name. The twinnies. Orange and green.
Orange and green, yeah.
Two great flavors that taste great together. Two great tastes that taste great together.
Somebody posted on Twitter the other day that they both taste the same. They're just a different color.
Just like human flesh. I mean, what? Never mind.
I mean, what?
Follower of clay.
Since when does human flesh have two different colors? Wait, what?
Is there going to be live audience again? Yes, we'll definitely have a live audience again. We don't know when, but we definitely will.
We also don't know who the live audience is going to be.
But our live audience member is still here. And we still don't know who it is.
And
so
I think we're halfway through this chapter, so do we want to give another clue?
Oh, okay, here's the clue.
Yeah.
Okay, the clue is this audience member traveled a very long way to be in the audience.
That's basically giving it away.
All right, good. We
Okay,
won't
so I have a
repeat
question
it.
for you.
No repeating it.
So here's my
you've got a
question.
question? Ask me anything.
Would you
Yes.
give up your US citizenship to stay in Europe?
You know, for a long time,
Or actually, this is a two-part question. Sorry. Would you ever consider moving back to the US?
okay. I'm going to answer the second part first. I have often thought about moving back to the US, but it has never been attractive enough to move back to the US.
What's so unattractive about it?
Well, so back in the day, the idea of going back to the US just was like, I'm starting over.
Yeah.
You know, I have a life
I
and career
totally
here.
hear that. Like you've moved. Like we both have the same thing that we've moved somewhere,
Yeah.
built a life, built a career.
Yeah.
Moving somewhere else means starting that whole thing all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe it would be good. You know, it used to be that I was really excited about exploring the great big castle that we call life, you know, and I was going down the cellar and I was checking out the attic. And at some point I realized, well, I found this room that I really liked
nice,
and this is where I'm going to hang out for a while. And I kind of lost that need to find another room.
Because you kind of figure out that many of the rooms are very similar.
Sure. And in fact, you can make a life in whatever room. And who the hell knows? You know, everyone's always like, but what if you had done this? And what if woulda, coulda, shoulda, whatever. But to move back to the United States, it would have to be, I think it would have to be fucking attractive. And right now it's not.
So it would have to be a really good job
A
offer.
really good job in a place that's beautiful, in a place that, you know, isn't full of bullshit. And it's really hard to find that in the States right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The other question, would I give up I used to think no. I mean, that's why I still have it. You know, it's just a big rigmarole. I would love to have had a double Staatsbürgerschaft. I would love to have had a double citizenship, but they really don't like doing that unless you're super rich or Netrebko. And but if it came down to if it came down to brass tacks, and they were like, you know, it was like you have to give up the one at the moment. I guess I would, because I don't, you know, sure, I'm American, but, you know, I truly, it sounds ridiculous, but citizen of the world, no borders. I mean, just because my parents popped in North America and that's where I jumped out, and, you know, I don't have any actual, I've spent half of my life here.
More than half.
About half of my life I've spent here. Yeah, probably more. Yeah. Still haven't quite got there.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, not quite half of my life. But I've been here a long time.
Yeah.
And the affinity that I have to here and to there, and that's a whole nother conversation about sitting between the two stools. But man, if I had to do brass tacks, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
If I get to stay in a nice, beautiful place with wonderful people and a system that works, America, make your shit more attractive.
Yeah. So Verena, of FOC is saying Verena is the audience member. Which is kind of interesting, but that's not true because Verena is already in Vienna and would not have to travel far. So FOC not really listening to the
Well, this was from before that
I
came.
see.
So, why can't I talk to dolphins?
That's a good question to ask us. Because
Okay.
we know all about dolphins.
So there's a couple of main reasons why you specifically can't talk to dolphins.
The first one is that dolphins don't want to talk to you.
They're kind of assholes.
Yes, they absolutely are. And they're also, they like being with other dolphins.
Yeah, I
don't
mean, they're
like
very,
humans.
very insular.
Yes.
And if they do get with, some humans, it's very one-sided.
You know, the dolphins are like 18th century Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They wouldn't teach anybody their language.
No.
They didn't want anybody coming in.
Yeah.
You know?
And then they'll try, you'll feel like you're learning their language, but all they're doing is mocking you.
Yeah, it's just fake.
They
It's just fake. That's why they laugh so much.
They change up their vernacular all the time.
Yeah.
It's like trying to deal with a zillennial,
Yeah.
which is the end of millennials and the beginning of Generation Z, the Zennials.
You see what he did
it's like
there?
an
It was
exennial,
very
but on the
clever.
other
It
end,
was
it's
very
very specific.
So that's the reason why you can't talk to dolphins. But
Yeah.
but I think there's a two-part answer.
Yes.
You shouldn't try and talk to dolphins
Oh, yeah.
because they're fucking dangerous.
They're assholes.
More people get bitten by dolphins than by sharks.
You'll get raped by, seriously, and I don't use that word lightly.
Yeah.
But they're like ducks. They're like ducks
They are
of the
mammals,
ocean.
and they are actually So stay away from them.
I have mushrooms that might help with that. Please send those mushrooms, Follower of Clay.
Yes.
Send those mushrooms to everybody. Let's have an Isbaz mushroom.
Yeah.
A mushroom club. Loneliness, dolphins. No, they do not taste the same as paramours. Okay. Follower of Clay says, "Oh, your mom is there." What does that mean? L equals CL times A times 0.5 times R times V times 2. And Andrew is asking, what is L?
CL times A. No. It's CL times A times 0.5
Yeah.
times R times V
To the second.
is smaller than 2, or what?
No, it's to the second power.
To the second power? Why is that little hat in between then?
I think that means...
Does it? Oh, I see.
It
Okay.
means it's to the power of 2, I think.
Don't tell FOC to commit international smuggling, please. Does it count as international smuggling if you're sending by the mail within Europe?
Oh, I don't know. Are you not allowed to send certain... Are you not allowed to send...
Well, I know you're not. I know you're definitely not allowed to send certain things.
Well, sure, but I didn't realize mushrooms was on that list.
Well, certain mushrooms maybe. Oh no, they're not illegal, are they? Because they're available. Are they?
I ran into some people recently who were growing mushrooms in their apartment.
Right.
Like they got a kit with a bag and the whole thing. Yeah. I think we did it. I think that's the end of the questions here. Unless our audience member has a question, this is it. Your one chance. You can ask a question, and we're going to give everybody one last shot to guess. We're going to
So
give
you actually have to write in the chat the name of the audience member.
the name of the audience member. We're giving you one last chance to do it now. We're going to give you 10 seconds. Do 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 do.
I think the chat is like 10 seconds behind. So you need
Well, we
to
still
give
have to
them
give them
20.
10 seconds because they haven't gotten the 10 seconds. Do 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 do. Dong dong. Okay. Audience member, this is your, or for everyone out in the chat, this is your last clue. Audience member, ask your question. Ask us anything. What's your question?
Guys, anything.
Yes.
You didn't prep me for this.
Nope. Take your time.
Is this supposed to end up as a clue?
Follower of Clay says, Philly girl.
Yeah.
Philly Girl 1000, you're absolutely correct. It's my mom, everybody. She made it all the way from far away and landed in our audience. Welcome to Philly Girl 1000.
She came in from what? Louisville, Kentucky.
Doing a good job, Philly Girl. But you're doing a terrible job of coming up with a question.
Michael?
Question for Michael.
The absolute, here, it's a two-part question.
Ooh, man, you do watch His Best.
What is the absolute best part of being a dad? And the second part is, what is the absolute scariest part about being a dad?
So for those of you out in Isbazland who didn't hear that, two-part question. First part, what is the absolute best part about being a dad? Second part, what is the absolute scariest part about being a dad? Michael, you're on.
Well, I can only answer that question from where I'm at the moment. And I'm going to say the absolute scariest part about being a dad is when I notice that I'm getting angry with the kids. And the thing is, they can't help what they're doing. They're not doing nothing that they do that bugs me. They're doing on purpose. So sometimes at the long end of a very long day, or at very, very early in the morning, and I haven't slept, and they're still keeping me up. It's like, ooh, I feel that twinge of resentment. And that's the scariest part about being a dad at the moment. The greatest part about being a dad is virtually everything else. It's like the happiness you feel when they take a satisfying dump. No matter how much that dump smells, right? They've been fighting that poopy all day, and it's finally out. You're like, yay! High fives, low fives.
Yes.
We're whistling.
Yes.
We're singing a song, wiping that poopy off that bump.
Gonna wipe that poop right out of that bum. Gonna wipe that poop right out of that bum.
So when they make new sounds, and this is interesting. Like the past couple of days, they've been learning new sounds.
Yeah.
And they have different. They're learning. They're not learning from each other. They're doing different sounds.
So they're like exploring with their voice.
Exploring what their voice can do. And suddenly they'll do a sound that they haven't done yet. And most of their sounds up until now have been meh, 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 meh kind of type sounds. And now they're starting to do things like so yeah, that's kind of nice. And the facial expressions are becoming a lot more specific, and it would seem connected to the situation.
Right.
It's like not only reflexes, like they're definitely smiling at you.
Right. Not just
somehow smiling. Yeah. So that's how I'd answer that question at this juncture.
love it. So on a quick
Audience member, Philly Girl 1000.
Thank you very much. Good, quick on the chat. That's absolutely right. Follower of Clay, you win another pack of stickers, and because you have given our audience member an identity, she will also get a bunch of stickers. So that's the only reason she came, is what she says. And so yes, Catherine Martinez, you can no longer guess. Sophie, no, you're wrong, Andrew. Philly Girl Machado, very much right, too late. Martina, Peter, nope, sorry, you're wrong. Verena, Mrs. Smulik, nope, sorry, you're wrong. Andrew, I rescind my guess. Yep, you're totally fine with that. Andrew, hey, Adonna. And follower of Clay, hello, Mum Libby.
Finally, going dual language, yes. I'm speaking English to the kids, and Christina's speaking German to them.
So that's super interesting. I wonder how that'll go, because when kids grow up bilingually, they kind of choose which language you'll speak with them. So I've seen this in kids all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. And if you speak the wrong language to them, they do not like it. It's really funny.
If you're who?
So let's say Jacob's Jacob's daughter Lily when she was a little girl. Trixie would speak German. Jacob would speak English. If Jacob spoke German,
Right.
she hated it.
Oh, I see, yes.
If Mom spoke English, she hated
she
it.
did,
And then she would decide, if you were outside of the family unit, which language you spoke.
Right. Yeah. Sure. Okay. I can get
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And you see that all the time with kids
I,
like that.
I didn't like my mom talking German to me.
Yeah. You didn't like that, yeah. Even though she spoke it perfectly well and it was just fine, but nope, there was something wrong about it.
Yeah, that kind of bugged me. But because it was kind of leaving the box. It was kind of leaving the established box, right? Interestingly, it didn't bug me as much that my dad would speak English to me. We kind of morphed into that at some point. But probably because we were in an English-speaking environment. So I'd hear my dad speak English a lot more often than I hear my mom speak German.
Right. Yeah, it's super interesting. Mrs. Smulik would rather be known as Sandy. Well, it depends on which Mrs. Smulik they're talking about, Machado.
Yes, this is true.
So careful there. Don't think so, Jim. I'm not sure what she's disagreeing with me about, but you're probably right, Machado. Whatever I said was probably complete bullshit. In any case, we're coming to the end of our Ask Us Anything. You get one last question, audience member.
Good, because I have one.
Oh, thank goodness. What is it, Philly Girl 1000?
All right, Jim. You give all the reasons why you would not want to come back to the United States.
I give all the reasons why I would
All
not.
legitimate, because when people say to me, "Is he ever moving back?" I look at them and say, "Why?"
So Philly Girl is saying that all of the reasons that I gave for not moving back to America are legitimate because when people ask her, "Is Jim ever moving back to the States?" she looks at them and says, "Why?"
So my question is,
Her question is,
what is the one thing that you miss the most about being in the United States?
what is the one thing that I miss the most about being in the United States? Well, you're really, you're bringing it down to the one thing that I missed the most. It's my family, of course. That's the thing I miss the most.
But at this point, they're not even all in the United States.
They are.
They are. Oh, again, right.
Yeah.
At the moment.
At the moment, all of my blood relatives are in the States, and my extended family is a little more spread out, but that's what I miss the most. And sometimes, I know how hard it is to come and visit, and it took a long time for it to happen. And I sometimes feel guilty, I guess, about having moved so far away, about having been so inaccessible. And I used to never be a misser. And I think we've even talked about this on ISBAS before, about how the pandemic taught me how to miss people. And that's, I think, the thing that I miss the most is, being around my family, to be able to see my nephews growing up, or to see my sisters being cooler than they were before. To see, my mom survive accidents and cancer and weird shit. To see those people more often. And I guess that's probably the thing I miss the most.
And that's what your family misses.
That McDonald's, man, I miss McDonald's. Oh man, I wish I could just get a real good McDonald's, I suppose.
McDonald's is better here.
Yeah, you're probably right.
McDonald's is shit all over the planet. And on that joyous note,
I love you.
I think we've said everything. We've got to the end of it.
We got to the end of chapter 3.
We have a new quiz for next week.
What? Wait, what? Hold the phone.
We have a new quiz for next week.
What
but
are you
I can't tell you
talking
now.
about?
I can't tell you now. Because there's things that have turned up in the chat that make a great quiz for next week.
A quiz for next week. I don't know what he's on about.
This week's quiz was who's the audience member. We have a quiz that is in the chat right now. That is going to make a great quiz for next week. You might want to go back and review the chat, tonight's chat, before next week's show, number 69. It's going to be the same no matter how you turn it. It's going to be the same both ways up.
Yeah, like fish touching heads and tails.
In a whole...
In a slippery, slidey, sexy
slippery,
way.
Slippery, slidey, sexy
Oh.
fish tank that other fish have peed in.
Stop it. You're too sexy, Michael. Why are you so sexy? How you get so sexy?
Why does sexy always smell like fish?
Stop
Why
it.
do you think that is?
It's just so sexy.
I'm calling it.
All right. That's the end of our show. Thank you all very, very much for joining us. If you didn't get on the chat this time, that's totally fine. Hop on the chat next time. If you're not a chat person, that's okay. Maybe you are a Facebook person. And if you are a Facebook person, you can go over to our ISBAS HQ, ISBAS HQ. And there's all kinds of fun things happening over there. And yeah, that's the it.
That's the it.
That's the it.
That's the it.
This has been the best ISBAS ever, Michael.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it really has been.
Good.
So next week we'll see you for episode 69.
And remember,
No matter what the subject,
or what it was about,
even if you disagree,
you can always hug it out.
Hug it
Hug it
out.
out.
Hug it out. Hug it out. Hug it out.